ask, because if you don't ask, I can't tell. Now my answer here, I'm speaking about their mother now. She would tell me bedtime stories. That's not weird. But she'd tell them to me backwards. Instead of telling me the story of the three little pigs, it'd be the pea little thrigs. About the wake bad wolf. Piddle-ig, piddle-ig, let me in. Not by the chair, my hinny hin hin. All puffing, all huffing, I'll hold your blouse down. Guys going, oh, hear that story right there. Instead of telling me the story of Sleeping Beauty, it'd be Beeping Slooty. Rumpelstiltskin, Stumplriltskin. Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Loldigox and the Bee Thrers. What's the deal with Loldigox anyways? Loldigox mama says, Loldigox, do not go for a walk in the wheat duds. What does she do? Tell me.
Goes for a walk in the wheat duds.
You can make people do anything. Goes for a walk in the wheat duds. Comes to the Bee Threr's house. Doesn't even dock on the Nor. Walks right in. Hobbles gup the porridge. Beeps in the sleds. Chits in the shares. You gotta have verbal control at that point. People can go bad on you. One of the shares she chat in Pella fart. I don't get Loldigox. You can tell she's not from the North Country. She has mo manners. I made that part up myself. This doesn't work for dyslexic folks, so that's not funny either. So she took me and she wouldn't say, Roy, I'm going to tell you a bedtime story. She'd say, I'm going to tell you a bedtime story. So I'm ready to sleep, right? No way. Or won't me. She took me in and she'd say, once a ton of time, Frank has sat through this so many times looking at me, he's just like... Once a ton of time in a corn... I'll make it fast, Frank. Once a ton of time in a corn country, there lived a beautiful girl named Rindercella. Rindercella lived in this corn country with her muggly other. And her two sad blisters. At his shows happened in this corn country, there also lived a prancing hints. He was putting on a Bancy Fall, invited everyone from riles and riles around the corn country to the Bancy Fall. Rindercella could not go to the Bancy Fall. Her muggly other, and her two sad blisters. They were most seen to her that all she had to wear were old Hurdy dags. But at his shows happened, Rindercella had a Gary Maud father. She was a gucky lurl. She appeared to Rindercella. Rindercella said, who are you? She said, I'm your Gary Maud father. Didn't you hear me poof? That's a gas joke, Mike. Did you get that? I've come to change your Hurdy dags into beautiful bound. You can go to the Bancy Fall and meet that prancing hence, dare you. She was an Adirondack, Gary Maud On condition, she said, be home before the straw clock midnight, or I'll turn you into a Tompkin. Rindercella went to the Bancy Fall. She met the prancing hens. They danced and they danced. And soon they lell in fove. I pub that lot. But 'tis gin, the struck clock midnight. Rindercella dashed down the stairway. Feel it? At the bottom of the bearway, she slopped her dripper. It happens. Happened to me on Caroline Street in 1979. Wasn't pretty. Prancing Hitch chased after Rindercella. All he found was old slop dripper. The next knee humps on his jorse. Heads, it's medieval times. Heads riles and riles around the corn country in search of the beautiful girl who slopped her dripper. He finally came to Rindercella's house, tried the slop dripper on the muggly other. Fidden did. He said, Gank thawed. Tried it on the first side blister, Fidden did. Fidden did the second side blister, either finally came to Rindercella, and of course it Fid did. They were both happy. She was both suitable. They had lolling and fog. So they both humped on his chores. Headed back for the ballast, Mount Gary lived happily ever after. So the moral of the story, or the storal of the Maury, because every Maury has a storal, is this. If you live in a corn country with your ugly other and your two side blisters and remote scene to all you have to wear is old worded dags and there's a prancing hints put out Bancy Fall invites everyone from miles and miles and miles in the corn country because of Bancy Fall. You have a Gary Maudfather who can change worded dags into beautiful bounds and you go to the Bancy Fall, meet the prancing hints, dance and loll and fug with him. Don't forget to slop your dripper.